Medieval law was absolute. Mock the king, lose your head. Yet one profession was legally immune from execution for treason. The court jester could call the monarch a fool, a tyrant, even a murderer, and walk away alive. You wake before dawn in a stone chamber adjacent to the royal apartments. By the time the sun rises, you've already donned your motley, the patchwork costume of diamonds in green, yellow and red that marks you as the king's licensed fool. On your belt hangs a marotta, a carved wooden head on a stick that serves as your scepter of office. This is what life as a medieval jester really looked like, and the paradox at its heart reveals something about power that still matters today. Welcome to History Snapshots. The year is 1390, and you serve in the household of Richard II of England. Your predecessor was executed not for his jests, but for theft. The position you hold is no mere entertainment role. Court records from across medieval Europe show jesters received annual salaries equivalent to minor nobles, sometimes 30 to 50 pounds sterling per year when a skilled craftsman earned 4. You own property, you have servants, and you possess something far more valuable: the legal right to speak truth to power without consequence, encoded in royal charters as the privilege of folly. But that immunity came with a price most never considered. Your mornings begin not with rehearsal, but with intelligence gathering. Before you can mock effectively, you must understand the court's hidden currents. Who has fallen from favor? Which noble insulted which mistress? What military disaster the counsel is hiding from the public? You circulate through the great hall during breakfast, listening. Jesters were often recruited from university-educated clergy or skilled musicians, not random peasants. Many spoke Latin, French and English fluently. Your performance begins at the midday meal. The king sits elevated on the dais. You enter through the crowd, bells jingling from your three-pointed hood. Your first jest targets the Lord Chancellor, who yesterday proposed a ruinous new tax. "My lord," you announce loudly, "has discovered how to make gold from straw. He spins it from the pockets of men who have none." The hall erupts in laughter. The Chancellor's face darkens, but he cannot respond. You are protected by the doctrine of licensed folly, a legal concept that granted jesters immunity from slander laws that would see any other subject hanged. The king himself laughs hardest. Why? Because you have just publicly voiced what he privately thinks but cannot say without undermining his own chancellor's authority. You are his weapon, disguised as entertainment. August 1415. You stand on the muddy field at Agincourt, but you're not a soldier. Strapped to your chest is a wooden board painted with the royal arms. You are a herald, but not the official kind. You are the expendable kind. When formal heralds were too valuable to risk, kings sent their jesters to deliver messages between armies, surrender demands, ransom terms, threats. The enemy knew who you were by your motley and bells. Sometimes they respected the tradition of messenger immunity. Sometimes they didn't. Records from the 100 Years' War document at least 6 jesters killed while delivering terms to besieged cities. Their bodies returned as the city's answer. You juggle while you walk between the lines, not for comedy, but because the motion makes you visible, unmistakably non-combatant. It is a psychological gambit. A man juggling cannot be holding a weapon. The French commander receives you, reads the demand for surrender and spits at your feet. You return alive. This time. Here is what that reveals. The jester's immunity was never absolute. It was a calculated risk, renewed every single time you opened your mouth or crossed a battlefield. The fool's privilege existed only as long as someone more powerful found it useful. By evening you are summoned to the king's private chambers. No courtiers, no scribes, just you, the king, and a problem he cannot solve publicly. This is the jester's true function, documented in account books and private letters across medieval Europe. Richard II's jester, John Goby, appears in Privy Council records as a witness to sensitive negotiations. Henry VIII's jester, Will Somers, successfully intervened to reconcile the king with Princess Mary when all formal diplomats had failed. Why did monarchs trust their fools more than their advisors? Because you had no competing agenda. Nobles wanted land, bishops wanted power, generals wanted war. You wanted only to keep your position, which required keeping the king alive and stable. Tonight, Richard asks what the court truly thinks of his plan to invade Ireland. You tell him the truth. His nobles think it folly, a waste of gold, a distraction from threats closer to home. Any courtier saying this would be suspected of treason. You say it and it is merely counsel. But this did not mean you were safe from all consequences. The line between useful honesty and dangerous insolence was invisible, shifting, defined entirely by royal mood. One jester to Charles VI of France misjudged that line in 1392, mocking the king's mental illness too precisely. He was dismissed, a mercy compared to execution, but still exiled from the only profession that had granted him status. The profession did not survive modernity. By 1600, the court jester was already an anachronism. The last official jester in England, Muckle John, served James VI of Scotland until 1618. After the English Restoration in 1660, the position vanished entirely from royal households. What changed? The printing press, public theatres, coffee house political satire. The jester's unique function, delivering criticism the king needed to hear but could not officially solicit, was now performed by pamphlets, plays, and an emerging free press. The monarchy no longer needed a licensed fool when it faced an unlicensed marketplace of ideas. But there is an exception worth noting. In Germany, the figure of Till Eulenspiegel, a folkloric jester from the 1500s, was resurrected during carnival traditions. Each year, a citizen is crowned as Till to mock politicians and public figures, a ritualized space for satire. The tradition continues today in some regions, a fossil of the jester's immunity preserved in festival. Yet the golden age, when a single man in motley could stand before absolute power and speak without a filter, lasted barely 3 centuries. The role required a specific political structure, centralized monarchy, no free press, and a king insecure enough to need honest feedback, but too proud to ask for it directly. So what does the jester's immunity actually teach us? Not that speaking truth to power is safe. It never was. The medieval jester could call the king a fool and walk away alive, but only because he was useful, only within invisible boundaries, only until he wasn't. The real lesson is this: every power structure creates a release valve for dissent. Medieval monarchs formalized it in the jester's privilege of folly. Modern institutions do the same, just less visibly. The anonymous suggestion box, the devil's advocate role in meetings, the satirical news show that says what cable news cannot. These are not signs of freedom, they are controlled channels for criticism, designed to let the system hear its own flaws without actually threatening it. In your own workplace, your own community, watch for who is allowed to speak uncomfortable truths. Ask yourself, are they protected because the institution values honesty? Or because their dissent has been safely contained? The jester's motley was not a symbol of freedom. It was a uniform that marked its wearer as licensed, limited, and ultimately expendable. The moment you mistake the costume for immunity, you have misunderstood the game entirely. The fool's power was never his own. It was always borrowed, always conditional, always one bad joke away from revocation.